Hi, Bode. There we go.
There we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Good
How
to
are
see
you?
you. I'm doing okay.
Good
I've
to see
been there. Yeah,
What's that?
I'm doing okay. I've been nervous, excited. Good to see you
Yes.
again.
Oh, good. I'm glad to be here.
Uh-huh. I love your new haircut.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's the summer cut.
Got it. Um, well, thank you for coming on the podcast again. Amazing to have you
Of
here.
course.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy to
Uh,
be here.
Where are you at right now?
I'm in Austin. I'm actually out on the front porch because it's so nice out today.
Front porch, nice. It's a hot day.
It's actually not too bad. It's sunny, a little breezy. If it gets too
Mm-hmm.
loud, let me know and I can move in because there's yard
Okay.
work going on all around.
Right, okay, no, it looks great. It looks great. Well, thank you for coming on. So Bode Robinson, I'm gonna give you an introduction for the podcast. So everyone listening today, we got the founder of Saint Bode, um, and a creative visionary. She she's an artist and designer with an unwavering commitment. This is also read up from your website, but it's so great. Um, but yeah, with an unwavering commitment to radical self-expression, with the idea of creatively merging art, apparel, music, and the community. And I was just I saw I saw the story that you put up on Instagram that there's been some like art talks lately in Austin. I'm seeing. Was
Yeah,
that
tonight we actually the cathedral, which is the gallery where I show, is on the east side of Austin, is hosting a Women's History Month open house, and it's starting with a panel discussion or a talk with six local artists that are in the collective, and that's tonight at 6:15. Which whenever whoever might be viewing this, it will be long after that, but that's
Yeah.
probably tonight.
Okay, cool. How does that work? Is it like you go up on stage and talk about and have like a what do you call that? Like a presentation, or how does that look like? What
So
is
we
that?
were asked to paint a piece for to honor Women's History Month, and then six of us. There are quite a few of us in the open house show tonight, and then six of us volunteered to get up and talk about our piece and talk a little bit about ourselves and how our piece honors Women's History Month. So, and then we might
Right,
have a few question Q&A, like a Q&A session afterwards. Yeah,
right. Cool.
yeah.
Wow. Love that. Love
I know
that.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, this is the gallery is so great. It's so supportive and uplifting, and it's such a super special place for us to be able to show our art.
Hmm. How long has the gallery been there or been is it like a
I think it just celebrated its 5 year anniversary.
okay. Okay. So it's been
Yeah.
open for yeah, okay, 5 years. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Cool.
started by my friend. It's Latina owned. Her name is Monica Ceniceros, and she started the ATX Gals Collective, which is a collective that represents women and non-binary artists in the local
Hmm.
Austin kind of Texas region. And
Right.
she found an old church on the east side and renovated it and turned it into the gallery that it is now, which is called the Cathedral.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Changing having a church to be like that. That's cool. I love that.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome. Yeah. All
yeah.
right. Well, let's dive into so I got some questions that I've been working on for the podcast today. Um and I was wondering last time that we spoke, also this just kind of crazy to like I'm just it's kind of settling in into me right now, I think. Um, but what is an exhibition like in Austin? I was wondering, that's one of the things I'm thinking about. Yeah,
Yeah. The
because I've
last
never been there, and yeah,
Okay. Well, there are all kinds of galleries and art shows that happen all the time in this city. We're super
yeah,
lucky to have such a great town that supports the arts. And the last time I showed was actually at the cathedral not too long ago. I showed with 12 other artists. The gallery is a pretty big space, and I think there were maybe eight of us in the main sanctuary area, and there were artists on the second floor and then artists in the basement. And so to be able to attend something like that is pretty cool because you get to meet a lot of artists all under one roof, and
yeah.
you get to not just see the work, but actually talk to us, and we can talk to you about our work or whatever you want to
Mm.
talk to us about. It's kind of come as you go, and yeah, it's a really fun experience because the cathedral not only hosts the art and the artists, but they also have they usually have live music programming, DJs, and local food, and they usually find a local nonprofit to benefit for the show as well. So it's a really cool
Mm.
experience. The shows at the cathedral are definitely top notch.
Top notch.
Top notch, high
Oh,
end,
that.
premium.
Okay, cool. I'm not it down. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's great. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm not actually sure what that is like here. I know that we have like here in the city that I live in, or like in Copenhagen.
Hmm.
You know about Copenhagen, Denmark?
I've never been, but I know about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I've not, I don't even know if I have actually been there. I'm really like I don't know if you're an introvert, but I'm an introvert and can get really like quite like I don't know, anxious or just like I'm in my zone if I go. I don't know. I've never been to it anyway. But I'm pretty sure there for sure is a lot because Copenhagen is like that kind of town here. You have like smaller things here in Odense. But yeah, it's really it's just cool to hear about because it's such like different cultures also like Denmark and the United States. It's I find that you are like vibrant. I don't know if that's like I just love how you're more like for me personally I find that you have more openness in your exploring.
Hmm.
Um and that's something that I really appreciate when I look at the art that you do also. That it's yeah, not that it isn't like that here, but I was listening to I couldn't really find the quote, but I was listening to actually an architect from Denmark, but who has done a work worldwide, like in Europe, and he studied in the States also. And she said that it's kind of like I was thinking about your art while I heard that on the podcast, but she said it's like the art in Europe is kind of more like, I don't know if I can remember. It's like, it's all, I don't know if this is gonna make sense. That's right to put it. But the art in Europe, she found to be more like it's something you put up for a short amount of time and then it's there. Whereas art in like the rest of the world or in the States, it's more like a lot of different kind of arts that kind of opens to like discussions and talk more so. I don't know, I just heard that I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's like how I feel about how I yeah find it
Maybe
to
art in the States feels more like a channel for greater connection.
yeah, 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 maybe so, yeah, 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 that makes yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a really great way. Yeah, yeah. Like when I heard her say it was like it was more limited in a sense.
Hmm.
uh, in Europe or in Denmark. Um, but yeah. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Something else, because we were talking about last time with I was thinking about, do you read books on arts
I
or like?
don't really. I was given a book. It's a pretty profound book among artists. I think it's called Art is the Way. I don't totally
Uh-huh,
remember.
uh-huh.
Um, and I started it, but I didn't finish it. I'm usually reading 10 to 12 books at a time.
Yeah.
I know one book that made a pretty profound impact on me, not necessarily specifically in the fine arts, but it's called The War of Art by I think it's Stephen Pressfield.
Right.
And I remember one of the takeaways that left an impact on me was that inspiration will not chase you. You have to show up every day and have the discipline to sit. Like if you're a writer, if you show up every day, maybe you're not in the mood to write, but you sit down and you force some stuff out, eventually inspiration will kick in. And it's something that you do have to work for. And it's not, some people are graced with it and it's a gift, but I think there's always you're challenged to open yourself up to that space every day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come easy all the time, but the more you do it, the easier it gets and the more space there is for inspiration to come in. And I remember reading that chapter in that book. I'll have to reread it, but because there were
Hmm.
a lot of parts in that book that really resonated with me, but that one really stuck out to me.
Right. Right. Yeah, I was wondering if you, so I'm like you with that. I read a lot of books at the same time. And then sometimes I wonder, am I able to keep it small?
Yeah, it's a
But
problem. Anyway.
yeah,
I could just
yeah.
like ingest them very quickly, but no. That's why there's always 10 to 12 to 15 because I'm a slow reader, one, and I get distracted and I want to learn something new before I finish the last lesson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, well, was it? Yeah, I was yeah, I wondered about how you find inspiration in books, like if it's book in arts. I know that with myself, I know that with my girlfriend or with others, that it's like sometimes it's um, you know, I don't know, like I was just thinking, do you, it's a very simple question, I don't know why I have such a hard time. Do do you do you find inspiration in like just books without pictures or books with art pictures, I guess, or with the arts in it?
I love on it like if I'm looking for something visual, it's usually in a magazine, like
Okay, yeah.
something like juxtaposition or juxtapose, I mean. And like the fine art or gallery style curated magazines. I don't usually go to look into books for visuals for whatever reason. I look to books to read
Hmm.
and just take in information. And
Right.
I prefer a like a tactile analog magazine situation for inspiration over
Hmm.
Instagram. But Instagram is also a great place to be visually stimulated.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you said that.
Almost to the point that you have to sit there and scroll longer and harder to like actually be inspired. So I try to limit myself as for that
Hmm.
as a form of inspiration. And actually I had this conversation last night with a friend. She's
Right.
like, "What are you doing right now? Are you inspired? Are you making art? Like, what's going on?" And honestly, like for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 months, I've
Hmm.
been maybe in a lull or not overly inspired or not really sure what I want to say. I'm
Right.
in this moment of pause and reflection, and I just started getting into the
Thing.
topic of stoicism, and I'm learning that. the philosophy and the topic of Stoicism in general is very male dominated. And
Mm.
so now I'm kind of pivoting a little bit and turning that research into a what does the female version look like of Stoicism and who are the figures from the past that were maybe buried that talked about Stoicism in a female way. And
Um,
so the further I go down that rabbit hole, I'm finding myself becoming inspired to paint on that topic or find something within that that will come out in the form
yeah,
of whatever art it might take on the canvas. So I'm kind of on the brink of becoming re-inspired again to make a new body of work.
right,
But yeah, I think it's not easy to stay motivated. It's not easy to stay inspired, but just for me, remembering the impact that my art can make
right,
and the
yeah.
conversations it allows me to have. And going back to what we were saying, that the art here might feel more like a channel for a greater connection versus just temporarily being on a wall. And
Mm.
when I shift to that perspective, that motivates me to stay inspired to make the art.
Mm. Yeah, that's fascinating. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, because I wonder a lot often with artists how, because just as in other, like with other kind of art, like in movies or whatever it is, like we have these time with the breaks where it's like, oh, there's like a pause now. I felt that with myself, uh, with the podcast now and also before, and it's like, oh, okay, that's it's like interesting. But yeah, with the stoicism, I had a conversation. It was one of the very first ones I had on the podcast actually with this guy who was really into stoicism. And I never really thought about it from the perspective I think so that you just came with.
Mhm.
So that's yeah, I think I'm having a moment with that.
It's funny
Yeah.
when synchronicities just kind of come into your purview and you're just kind of like, wow, that made a link. And
Yeah.
what does it mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, and I feel like it just yeah, made it even wow, okay. Interesting. Huh. Um yeah, then I've been writing about do you like have any I get that's it's kind of just what we're talking about right now. But do you have any places you go to or like maybe even like outside of an physical art room or like yeah, do you have any places that you go to where it's like oh there I kind of always like there's something that ignites in me or um what else? Yeah. Or like how
If I
is
can
there
be,
does that resonate with you?
yes, I that makes perfect sense. Like putting yourself in a place or places that you know of that inspire you, maybe more
Yeah,
than.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Going on hikes is really helpful for me because I can kind of turn my mind off and just be in the present moment. And
Right.
anything that I can be that has little to no distractions is super helpful. I often will listen to classical music. I love Chopin too. I'll listen to that
Mm,
on a hike or I'll go for a drive, maybe at sunset,
right.
and just listen to classical music and just kind of sit with that. Um, but I would say being out in nature is probably my biggest, maybe not muse, but where the muses might flow in more easily. Um,
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
record store.
Mm,
For some reason, record
uh,
stores really do it for me too. I get
mm,
a lot of ideas. I have to, if
uh-huh.
I go into a record store, I either have to have my notes like open and ready, or I'll have
Right.
a little notepad in my pocket.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes coffee shops too. Um,
Right.
I mean, those do seem a little noisy and kind of, can offer quite a few distractions, but for whatever
Yeah.
reason, it can help with the creative flow. So I'd say
Uh-huh.
nature is my number one space to be. Um,
Mm.
and then maybe a record store or a coffee shop.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's something about I have the same with sometimes the coffee shop it can get too like noisy or there's too much happening.
Overstimulated.
Uh yeah, overstimulating. So I have to like, okay, I'll go there for maybe 45 minutes, so I'm gonna leave it. Anyway, but a record store, I can totally see that because you're like, um, I feel like there's a lot of just like the history of the book. I don't know, there's something there that's like,
There's a lot
yeah,
of really cool album covers too that just are super inspiring, especially really old
yeah,
records. The typography and the lettering it always just makes my heart skip a beat. And then too, if
yeah,
like if the record store's sound system is really nice, like I'm a
uh-huh,
sort of a hi-fi person and an audiophile, and so just
yeah,
hearing those
same.
tones, in such a high quality space, and just being surrounded by all of the album artwork is just yeah, it definitely
Mm,
inspires me for sure. An idea, at
mm.
least one idea will pop in.
Right, right, right. I love it. You have your phone or your notepad ready
Yeah.
for like writing things down. Yeah, cool. What was I just sitting with? I had a question. I had totally slipped away. Oh yeah, you're uh looking at your website and looking at your art. Where is the inspiration for the quotes uh come from? Because I know I have like I like write them on notepads or like if I read something in a book, hear something on a video on a podcast, whatever, and then it will like kind of continuously like inspire me. I wondered how does that work for you and with like does it come from maybe like the outside or inside of you it's like something and
Sometimes they'll come from a book, sometimes they'll come from a podcast interview, sometimes they'll just come to me in meditation. If I'm sitting and I'm with the
okay.
intention of writing poetry, or a
Right.
haiku, or just writing in general, something will come out of that. A one-liner. Usually it's typically a one-liner,
Hmm.
or a little poem will come through. Um, yeah, I mean, it
Hmm.
comes from all over the place, honestly.
Right,
And
okay.
what makes me want to take note if I hear it in an interview, if it makes me stop and just like I need to hear that again, or stop and
Right.
I need to reflect on that, then I'll write it down. And I'm like, if it
Yeah.
affects me in that way, it's going to affect somebody else in that way. And so I want to find a way to artistically, compose it in a way that it'll speak to somebody else. And it just keeps
Hmm.
going and going and going. And so I feel like a lot of times, like my art is just a channel to impact others in a positive way or to kind of shake them a little bit or to get them to think in a new way. Because if
Hmm.
one interview or one quote makes me think in a new way, like I said, it'll potentially resonate with somebody else. And so, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of the reason why I make the art that I do, which is full of letters and messages, and um, everything else is just kind of an icing on the cake.
Hmm. Icing on the cake. Hmm. So awesome.
And a lot of times, too, the compositions, I've tried to, and maybe I've mentioned this before, but I've tried to compose or paint a piece or even an entire body in a more muted color palette, and it never ends that way. Like life
Hmm.
just comes in and works through me and says, no, put the neon orange, put the hot pink, put the sunset gradient. And I think
Hmm.
I finally reconciled with that because somebody said something to me during a show one
I
time.
love
They were
that.
across the room. Yeah. And when they came over, they said, I was across the room and I noticed your art, and the colors are what brought me to your art. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, maybe that's why, because, it's like a moth to the flame. The colors will draw you in,
Mm.
and then you get a chance to actually take in the art. And then you get a chance to potentially, hopefully, resonate with something in the art, and then make it your own narrative. Because a lot of times people ask me, well, what does this mean? Why did you say this? And sometimes I'll have an answer, and sometimes I'll say, well, what does it mean to you? Because it's not mine anymore. Once I'm done with the piece, it's yours and it's out in the world. And I want it to be whatever, it feels like it is for you because it lands differently
Mm.
with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really something like because I just I have seen work like yours before, but I just not where it's been like as you just described yourself, where it's like this piece and this piece and that piece. It's I guess it's a radicalness, and I just love that.
No, thank you.
Or it feels like to me, it feels like very I don't know, heartful and vibrant and very honest also, I think.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that just did something to me saying that actually. Um, yeah. Hmm.
Well, thank you for saying the honest part because my art for me was a journey to fully self-express and
Yeah.
to fully share my voice and my stories. And
Hmm.
it felt like the safest place to express myself and maybe share the stories that I couldn't share otherwise, or I didn't feel comfortable sharing in other spaces. But art gave me permission to radically self-express and be authentic and be honest as
Hmm.
almost like a permission slip for others to be honest with themselves or give them permission to be honest with the world in whatever way they, feel brave enough to do. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Is there anyone in your community or that you know around either in the States or in the world that does that kind of like the same kind of style that you have?
um, I don't know. I'm sure I mean, I've noticed that my color palettes can be similar to other artists just in different compositions as
Right,
far as like lettering and typography and messaging.
right.
Um, I'm not sure. I would have to do some research. I mean, I've had
Yeah,
some people send me um, paintings that say, "Oh, this reminds me of your work," and it might
yeah.
have like a tiger in it or something, or a cheetah. Uh,
Right.
but I mean, that's sort of I do a lot of like, I have certain icons and images that I use over and over again, and I'm
Right.
not
Okay.
sure that there are other artists. I mean, I know there are, but I haven't seen any artists
Right,
use the
right,
same images over and over again in different ways. Um,
right.
I don't know why I do that. It
No,
just happens. It just is.
yeah, no, I love it because I was also just realizing actually saying that myself and you kind of having yeah, answering that I mean that also um like uh that feel like that means there's like a lot of confidence in you doing what you do because you don't necessarily have I don't know a lot of I mean you have like the community or like the yeah who does art but just like that feeling of sometimes putting yourself to do something or like oh god what's like you gonna think or yeah I was just I guess realizing that um something that could I don't know what am I trying to say with that like yeah I find a lot of I find confidence in that I guess I think is what I'm trying to come to with that um okay Yeah, just so we got 10 minutes. So fit it in that. Oh, okay. Mhm.
Oh, we're back.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right, good. Uh, yes. All right. Um, I'm looking through what I have been. Oh yeah. Let's talk. Let's go a little bit into some of the on your website, the people we were talking about last time, the work that you did with Devon Leviska.
Oh, Devin LeVake.
Devon Levesque, yes. Yeah, thank you. Um yeah, you've done some work with Billie Jean King and some other like what do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. I was hired by Formula One Academy, which
Right.
the women's um, division of Formula One, and they hired me to paint a large scale piece for Susie Wolf, who is the managing director of Formula One Academy, and
Right.
contribute two painted helmets and design the race posters for the grand finale race that was here in Austin. And to also come the day of the race and paint the helmets in the paddock. And
Hmm.
because I was given that opportunity, I got to meet a bunch of really cool people in the paddock and have some amazing conversations. And one of the
Hmm.
conversations I had was with a woman who was president of Women in Motorsports, who
Hmm.
was also part of the
Wow.
fundraising auction that was going on that Billie Jean King was a part of. And they asked me to contribute a helmet for her nonprofit to be auctioned off a few weeks later. So that's how I got to connect with. I didn't get to speak with Billie Jean King directly, but I did get to paint the
Hmm.
helmet for her nonprofit, which was auctioned off. I think it raised like $2,000, which was really cool. That
Yeah.
was a fun opportunity, definitely.
Yeah, that's a great amount of money for that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it felt really cool to be able to contribute that way.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that must have been an experience. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh. What about Cody Simons?
So that was a really cool connection made via Instagram. I got
Okay.
to um Cootie and Chike, they are the producers of the Kanye West documentary Genius.
Right.
And they were discussing creating their own apparel for the film industry, kind of like a premium luxury apparel that was forward facing for anyone in the film industry, kind of specifically that spoke to them. And it was
Okay.
called POCC, Product of Creative Control, and
Hmm.
they asked me to design some of the logos and the type treatments for their first collection. And so I did, and they launched it at Complex Con a couple of years ago. And Jay Ivey was a friend of theirs, and he's an amazing poet and spoken word artist. And he was
Hmm.
wearing one of their pieces and is also friends with Lionel Richie and took a photo
Who's
with
that?
him wearing the pieces that I made. So I like to say that I'm connected to Lionel Richie in
Yeah.
that way, but
Who,
indirectly, but I'll take
who,
it.
yeah, who's
Um,
that?
it was really cool to see that,
Oh.
and just it's fun to see what these pieces, how they live in the world, and who they're living on. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons I got into designing apparel because it can live
Hmm.
in the world, and I feel like maybe not in a bigger way, but it goes a little farther than just being a piece on the wall, and
Right.
it can make an impact, maybe a little farther. I don't
Mm.
know. But that was a fun project that really kind of sort of got my wheels turning in the direction of starting St. Bode.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So who was the connection that you made while there? Reynolds?
With what?
You mentioned a connection that you kind of made while doing that. Who was?
Oh, Lionel Richie.
Yeah, who's that? I feel
Oh,
like
you'll have to look him up. You'll look him up. You
uh,
should know his music.
I feel like I need
Well,
that.
I
Okay.
mean, it's all, it's like 70s and 80s pop, but you'll
Okay.
know some of the songs. You should
Okay.
recognize some of them. So
Okay.
I'm gonna move in
Oh,
because the construction's starting next door.
oh, okay. Got it.
Okay, it's much quieter.
That's a beautiful piece there too.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to look him up and then you'll know
Yes,
what I'm talking about.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, awesome. What about okay, I'll just let you take a seat. For um the gene use, how do you pronounce that?
Who is it?
Um gene use? Gen and then
Oh, Genius.
IUHS. Sorry.
Genius. That's the Kanye West
Oh,
documentary on
oh,
Netflix.
okay.
Three-part.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Okay, got
that's the producers are who I got to work with on their brand.
okay. Okay. Awesome. Wow. All right. And then you have Lizzo. That's the singer, right?
Yeah, that one was back in 2017 or 2018.
Uh-huh.
Dropbox hired, this is when I still had Good Type, hired me as Good Type to curate the mural that they were doing for Lizzo
Hmm.
at Outside Lands, the big music festival in San Francisco. And so I reached out to Gemma O'Brien and It's a Living,
Hmm.
aka Ricardo, and they each took a side of this giant mural, and we got to work together on the composition and what the message would be. And we took a line from one of Lizzo's songs, and it was sponsored by Dropbox. And Lizzo dropped by and took pictures with us, and while they were working on or actually when they finished the mural. And they finished the mural on the first day of the festival, so it was up for the entire festival just to kind of inspire people, and people can take pictures in front of it and learn more about Lizzo because this is before she blew into the stardom that she is now, and she was actually on a smaller
Um,
stage performing, and her performance was incredible, and I was super inspired by it. So that
right.
was a fun project for sure. I didn't actually do any of the art, but it was through Good Type that I got to curate and help sort of with the compositions with the two artists.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Cool. That's amazing. That's it's not even just cool. That's
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
really,
It
yeah.
was cool to just be around her and watch her grow from there and just be like, hey, I met her.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So this one is gonna end in 1 minute, but I really wanna like maybe take a couple minutes more, depending how much time do I have.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Just gonna lock down and it'll be like at 10 minutes, and then I don't know, maybe 10 minutes is ish we can like close off with after that. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works great.
Cool. Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
See you in
Thank
10.
you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right.